now families are starting to feel it. E-commerce giants Temu, Shein, and Amazon, they've all started raising some prices.
This 3-pack of men's athletic shorts went from $23 to $56 after retailer Temu added a more than $32 import charge into the shopping cart.
Do we know why prices on these sites are starting to go
Well,
up?
it's because they're having to pay more to bring this stuff in. I mean, starting May 2nd, you're going to have this. There was an exemption for Temu and Shein, and these really, really cheap items had these tariff exemptions that the administration got rid of.
Both posting nearly identical notices to customers, blaming, quote, recent changes in global trade rules and tariffs.
Okay, y'all, Shein just did something wild. Imagine going on the app and seeing your $3 kitchen towels now listed for nearly $20. Not even joking. Bloomberg ran a study tracking 50 Shein items across countries. And in the US, prices spiked by as much as 377%. Meanwhile, the same products in the UK, no change. What's behind this sudden chaos? 2 words: Trump tariffs. Yep, under Trump's new policy shift, the US is finally closing the loophole that let Shein and Temu ship cheap goods to Americans without paying tariffs. For years, they relied on something called the de minimis exemption.
Look at a portable air conditioner humidifier fan. It was $21. Now it's going up to $30. Men's tennis shirt, a $9.93. These are really dirt cheap prices on some of these sites, and they just can't absorb all of those tariffs and extra costs, so they'll be passing them on to you. So everything from, I would say home goods and clothes and all kinds of different things are going to start to rise. And
basically, if an imported package is worth under $800, it avoids taxes, no duties, no customs fees. Nada. And guess who built their empires on that? Shein and Temu. But starting May 2nd, that loophole is over. These orders will now be taxed. Some at rates as high as 120% and later hit with a $200 postal fee. Shein didn't wait. They jumped early, raising US prices before the tariffs officially took effect. It's not just inflation, it's survival. And the numbers don't lie. Healthcare and beauty products saw increases up to 50%, toys and home goods went up 30%, and even women's clothing rose by 8%. Bloomberg also found that 7 of 15 tracked items just vanished from the US store, like totally delisted. And it's not just Shein. Temu has started hiking prices too, with some items doubling. But here's the twist no one saw coming. This isn't just a retail problem, it's pulling back the curtain on the luxury fashion industry. Turns out, many designer brands get their products made in the exact same factories as Shein dupes in China. Same materials, same labor, just a different label and a way higher markup. And now that Chinese factories are under pressure, some are starting to spill the tea, exposing how so-called luxury items.
My $18 free shipping Temu order that I tried to place last night had a $27 import charge.
Might not be so luxurious after all. So while fast fashion prices are climbing, the myth of brand value is crumbling. People are starting to realize, why was I paying $300 for a handbag when the $25 Shein version came from the same place? Oh, and remember those people who bulk ordered iPhones from overseas before all this went down? Now they're looking like geniuses. Because tech is next. Electronics will face 20% tariffs, and prices on phones, tablets, and gadgets are expected to rise. Maybe not immediately, but it's coming. And while big players like Amazon might pivot quickly, small shops won't. Experts say the real squeeze will hit during the back-to-school and holiday shopping rush. That's when all this tariff stuff will show up on the shelves and in your wallet. So yeah, Shein's price hike is a huge deal. But it's not just about Shein. It's about how global trade works, who's winning, who's losing, and what happens when the system flips overnight. And trust me, in the next part, we're digging into how this entire loophole started, why it's been allowed for so long, and how the US is suddenly turning up the heat on Chinese imports.
And on the third-party sellers on Amazon, sometimes these are mom-and-pop shops. They bring a lot of stuff in from China. If a $10,000 container of goods, you got to pay $14,500 to take delivery of your $10,000 container. So that's more than double in price, right?
So this drama is just getting started. Okay, so let's talk about the real reason behind this massive Shein meltdown. And y'all, it's not just about clothes. It's about a loophole so big, it made companies like Shein and Temu billion-dollar monsters. And now, that loophole is being slammed shut. So picture this.
A camera for $15. How about a wedding dress for $30? If you've ever shopped online, you've probably come across Temu. It's everywhere and it's dirt cheap. But some warn buying from the Chinese website could come at a cost.
For years, companies shipping small packages directly from China to the US could totally skip paying import taxes as long as the value was under $800. Sounds chill, right? Well, that's what they call the de minimis exemption, a little-known trade rule that basically created an e-commerce cheat code. And this rule clearly states legal principle that allows matters of small or insignificant importance to be excused from a general rule or requirement. This wasn't some Shein exclusive hack either. Any company could technically use it, but China mastered it. Shein, Temu, AliExpress, they started breaking down shipments into smaller packages, keeping each one under $800 and bypassing the US tariff system completely. And that's how they were able to sell you a full outfit for $12 shipped to your door. Like, they weren't just cheap, they were untaxed cheap. And the US government kind of just let it happen for a while. Why? Because consumers were happy, inflation was low, and honestly, no one wanted to mess with America's favorite cheap shopping apps. But then came Trump. His second campaign is all about economic nationalism, bringing jobs back, punishing unfair trade, and hitting China where it hurts. And guess what he's targeting? Yep, the de minimis loophole. Under his pressure, lawmakers are finally waking up to the fact that billions in tax revenue were being lost, while American businesses were getting destroyed by dirt-cheap imports. So, what's happening now? Starting May 2nd, all those Shein and Temu orders under $800, they're no longer tax-free. Not only will they face tariffs, some up to 120%, but by June, each shipment will also get a $200 postal fee slapped on. That's right, even if your item is only worth $10, the fees are going to wreck it. And here's the gag. This isn't just about saving American jobs. It's also a direct response to China's dominance in fast fashion and tech. These new rules only apply to Chinese shipments, not Mexico, not Vietnam, just China. So if you think this is a global trade thing, nah sis, this is personal. Now, imagine being a company like Shein. Your entire business model is built around exploiting that loophole. You don't store products in the US, you don't pay warehouse taxes, you don't deal with customs fees. And now, all that is gone. That's why Shein didn't even wait for the rules to kick in. They preemptively jacked up prices to brace for the financial hit. And don't forget, Bloomberg tracked products that got totally removed from their US store. Like, they're straight up delisting items now. And guess who's feeling the pressure next? Small businesses. Local US stores that import goods from China, whether it's toys, home decor, or beauty products. They used to benefit from the same $800 exemption. Now, with tariffs kicking in, their wholesale costs are rising fast. And unlike Amazon or Walmart, they can't just absorb the difference or switch suppliers overnight. If they raise prices, they lose customers. If they don't, they lose profit. It's a lose-lose. And what happens when inventory runs out? Experts say stores might hold steady through spring. But once back-to-school shopping and the holidays roll around, that's when these new costs hit full force.
Carries a 120% duty or a $100 fee. On June 1st, the flat cost option rises to $200, and any item shipped another way likely faces Trump's 145% tariff hike. Shein and Temu say they've raised their prices a week ago to prepare for the loopholes to end overnight. And Temu's website uses the label local warehouse for items that it says are not subject to duties.
So yeah, that $7 toy you were gonna get for your cousin's birthday, better grab it now, because come August, it might be $14 or just not available at all. Oh, and the craziest part, while all this is going down, China is clapping back. Chinese officials are already hinting at trade retaliation. Plus, factories in China are trying to protect their business by diversifying into other markets like Europe and Southeast Asia. Some are even exposing the fashion industry, leaking info that reveals how luxury brands source from the exact same production lines as fast fashion companies. So yeah, this isn't just a little pricing drama. It's a full-on international trade war that's finally hitting American consumers where it hurts. The checkout screen. Okay, bestie, this part right here, it's the kind of drama the luxury world definitely didn't want exposed. Because while Shein and Temu are over here trying to survive this tariff apocalypse, luxury fashion brands like Hermes, Louis Vuitton, and Dior are getting dragged by something they never saw coming. Chinese manufacturers spilling the truth. And baby, the tea is scorching. According to a report, Chinese factories that used to quietly make luxury goods for Western brands are done playing nice. Now that US tariffs are slamming their business and contracts are getting cut, they're calling out the brands for what they are: Overpriced, overhyped, and low-key fake in the value department. Like these factories claim they made Hermes-level bags. Same stitching, same leather, same everything, for a few $100. Then those bags would get resold for $12,000 or more in Paris or New York, just because of a label. And here's the wildest part. These manufacturers say they have receipts, as in literal invoices, order sheets, and videos, proving that many luxury goods are being sourced or replicated from the same lines that make high-end dupes. The drama blew up even more when Chinese influencers started posting TikToks comparing authentic designer pieces with lookalikes made in China. And sometimes, the lookalikes were better quality. Let that sink in. So now people are asking the big question. Is the luxury part of luxury fashion just marketing? Because if your $15,000 Birkin bag was stitched in the same province as a $50 dupe, maybe the real flex is not getting played. And this tariff war, it's forcing that truth into the open. Now let's shift gears, because the other brand that's feeling the heat, Apple. So get this. The Times of India just reported that Apple literally flew 5 plane loads of iPhones out of China and India in just 3 days, trying to beat Trump's new tariff deadlines. Yup, 5 full flights of iPhones. Like this was a smuggling mission from a spy movie. Why the rush? Because US tariffs on Chinese electronics are about to go up big time. And Apple knows once that hits, prices on iPhones, AirPods, and MacBooks could jump by hundreds of dollars. So what did they do? Pre-shipped like crazy. This move shows how serious things are. And Apple's not just reacting, they're restructuring. They've already moved some iPhone 14 and 15 production to India and AirPods manufacturing to Vietnam. They're trying to diversify their supply chain to avoid putting all their eggs in the China basket. But let's be real, Apple still relies heavily on China. Most of the core iPhone parts are assembled there, especially by Foxconn. So even if Apple wants to escape the tariff trap, it can't happen overnight. And consumers? Oh, they're feeling it. Prices have already started rising in regions like Pakistan and Southeast Asia. Some buyers are switching to Android, while others are hanging on to older models longer. It's giving, do I really need to upgrade? Vibes. So between Chinese factories dragging Hermes and Apple panic flying iPhones across borders, one thing's clear. This trade war is shaking up everything. From how we shop to who we trust, even the elite can't hide from it. Okay, bestie, real talk. Shein isn't just getting dragged by tariffs and trade wars, it's also being called out by the very generation that made it famous. Let's rewind for a sec. Shein became a global fashion beast with $20.5 billion in revenue in 2021 and literally drops 9,000 new styles a day, all thanks to viral TikToks like, I spent $900 on Shein, so you don't have to. Gen Z flooded timelines with massive number SHEIN haul content and turned it into a trend. But now, that hype is starting to crash. Why? Because the truth behind the brand is finally catching up. According to ABC News Australia, Shein's low prices come at a major cost. And we're not just talking environmental waste, though BTW, they contribute to 20 million tons of clothing waste a year. We're talking about factories with no fire exits, no worker contracts, and 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. Investigators even found bars on windows, blocked hallways, and underage labor in some suppliers. It's giving fashion, but make it dystopian. And Gen Z, they're starting to pull back. Influencers who once did $2,000 hauls are now saying they regret it. One TikToker even admitted to donating or trashing most items because the quality was so bad and the trends died so fast. Zagar Boycott Shein is now trending. That's wild considering this is the same group that helped Shein blow up. But when people realize their $5 crop top was made by someone working 84 hours a week with no break, yeah, that deal hits different. And Shein knows it's in trouble. They're rushing to clean up their image, dropping a sustainability report, claiming they've audited suppliers and saying they're committed to long-term impact. But so far, the receipts aren't adding up. So between ethical backlash, new tariffs, and rising prices, Shein's invincibility, it's fading fast. All right, let's keep it real. Cheap fashion ain't dying, but the old way of doing it, that's done. Between the US killing off tariff loopholes, workers speaking out, and TikTok calling BS on unethical brands, shoppers are waking up. The whole vibe is shifting from hauls and hype to value and responsibility. So where does that leave you? If you're tired of poor quality, slow shipping, and shady factories, there are better ways to shop. Support local or ethical brands. Some even offer affordable basics without the guilt. Try thrifting or resale apps. Gen Z already made Depop and Poshmark cool. And maybe, just maybe, buy less. You don't need 17 tops in one cart to look good. Shein, it still has millions of users, and the app isn't disappearing overnight. But the loyalty isn't blind anymore. Consumers are finally asking questions like, where is this made? Who made it? Why is it so cheap? And those questions are powerful. So no, this isn't just about canceling Shein. It's about transforming the way we shop, from mindless scrolling to meaningful choices. And honestly, that's the kind of glow up the fashion world really needs. You don't need to have it all figured out, but knowing where your money goes, that's the real drip.